And welcome back to the conversation, the DMGB conversation. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, that stands for Doesn't Matter, Get Better. Every day, the environment doesn't matter, your circumstances don't matter. You got to make the decision to get better. So I am very excited to welcome Nathan to the conversation today. As many of our guests have come on, we found each other through LinkedIn. Had some commonalities, had been looking at each other, grabbed a virtual coffee, which led to an unbelievable conversation. And I said, Nathan, you are definitely somebody that I want to have on the show. So Nathan, welcome to the conversation.
Hey, Mark. Good to be here, man. Always a pleasure.
Glad to have you. And
I like
the
that
way we like
calling it, it's the conversation. It's
it
emphatic.
is the conversation.
A conversation, the language, we're going to get on that later, but language matters. This is the conversation. That's what I'm excited about.
That is exactly right. So this is your opportunity to kind of introduce the audience to who you are. And most people, when I say that, most people focus on, oh, well, let me tell them what I do. That's not really what we want to hear about. What we want to hear about is where you started, where you come from, and where you are now. The Cliff Notes version, because we don't have all day to be here, but the overview of where you come from and where you're at now.
Okay, well, where I've come from, Larry and Marge, love them. Coming up on 50 years next week. My parents, I grew up in northeastern Pennsylvania, have a great family life, close with my siblings. Got started in small entrepreneurial ventures early on with my parents encouraging us. They were both educators, are still both educators. Grew up in a family of kind of higher ed and also very do-it-yourself type of family. So really loved that. I got into sales, early stage stuff with my brother, the lawn service, the trying different sales opportunities, hitting the phones, doing whatever. We had some experiences, some good and not so great experiences business-wise with network marketing, direct sales. We tried it all when we were younger. I got involved. I really fell in love with marketing. I started off kind of in the advertising, not kind of in the advertising sales side, but definitely in advertising sales, into marketing sales, into actually wanting to become a real marketer one day. I wanted to sell this stuff. I want to do marketing. I have ideas. Started on several entrepreneurial ventures, and in that stage of starting different things that were interesting or that were interesting to my friends that I was close with, started realizing, not only do I want to become a marketer, I really need to figure out how some of this stuff works. I need to figure out what structures are there that support a business from a marketing standpoint. And, but along the way, I was selling at an agency, I was in broadcast sales and so forth. Right now, fast forward, we have a marketing consultancy in Rochester, New York. We have clients, a variety of types, startups, and specialized in medical startups as well. And 5 years ago, I met two of my business partners who are some of my closest friends. You've met one of them recently, but Jay and Justin from TendedBar. We've been part of an incredible climb the last few years, pivoting and getting ready in the hospitality, the hospitality, sports and events industry. So starting off in small business, startup stuff, and then getting into broadcast sales, agency, marketing sales, and then in the now fully, way up over, we're not up to our eyeballs. I'm way over our head in the startup world, and which is how we've been building our network the last few years, doing a lot of it on LinkedIn. And my focus, as we've talked about, is the thing that I'm trying to bring to all of these different ventures is a recruitment and a business development focus that centers around. This is where I think our great touch points are: learning how to use technology, learning how to use some of these things, LinkedIn, social media, to make the reality of how you network and connect with businesses, with potential business partners, and manage your network and your business relationships in a cohesive manner. So I love doing that. It's connected me to the Newberg clan and a bunch of our now mutual friends that we've collected over the years. And so we're up to a lot of things. But things seem to be going along pretty swimmingly despite all. And we're experiencing some growth.
That's
I also
perfect.
have,
I'm gonna unpack some of this for us because
great.
I love what you said, and I think the thing that drew us together to really kind of merge why we liked each other and why the conversation went so well is because you are a sales guy who understands marketing. And I think in business for a long time, there's been this major rift between like the marketing department and the
Absolutely.
salespeople. Like marketing is putting out materials that they think is going to create sales and create conversation, and salespeople are having conversations that have nothing to do with those marketing materials. Like, don't even look at those things. It's not
They're like
even
the
what we're really
marketers, like
talking about.
use my deck, damn it, use my deck. Why
Yeah.
aren't you using the slides we sent
So
you?
I kind of want to go back into that, and some people love the sales side, some people love the marketing side, some people really see the combination of both and how powerful it could be. What made you understand the marketing side? Because you grew up in sales, you grew up pushing your lawn services, and you grew up doing those things to drive sales. What brought you to the marketing side, made you fall in love with it?
A lot of it, I think, had to come down with me understanding the language I wanted to use around it. To me, marketing, really being in marketing and business development, the terminology being part of a full life cycle of something and the full relationship of whatever the product was being peddling. Early on it was, lawn service and different things over the years, but it was the desire to be part of the whole process, including even helping tinker with the product itself. Not just the sheen over top of it or the connection you make with people that have money for the product, but really being part of the brass tacks, being part of the structure. And it was always that desire. And I realized then, not just helping strategize, that was the next step. Helping come up with marketing plans was a little more cohesive, but then selling those or just doing the business development, I always found that it fell short unless the people that were part of the entire process had a little bit of skin in the game with each of those things, and us brought together sales, branding, product development, customer relationship management, all those things that salespeople just do naturally, but
I
marketing seems to segment it, and we need
I
to
love
bring
that
that
you look
language
at
together.
it I love that you look at it as a life form because that's really what business is. And like, if you think about a human body, it's got the brain, it's got the heart, it's got the lungs, it's got all of the different things that work independently, but work cohesively with each other in order to make the entire body go. I think that's what's so critical about businesses. And when I talk to salespeople sometimes that have struggle, talking about what it is that they offer, it's because they don't really believe in what they offer. And sometimes it's hard to have that belief, even if it's a really good product, even if it's an unbelievable service, whatever it is that they're representing. If they weren't part of the ideation and the creation of it, they don't really understand it. And if you don't really understand it, then you can never convey that message. So I love that you look at it that way, and piecing it all together. How do you tie in for people who aren't part of that, right? Let's say you get hired as an agency to come in. How do you help people find that balance of communicating, hey, why this is a really good thing, but also to somebody who has never heard of it before or has to talk about it, that wasn't there for the creation? How do you find that balance? What's part of that process for people?
Well, I think part of it is setting the stage and saying, first of all, there is everyone there at the table or in the conversation needs to realize there is some sort of pattern happening. Either it's a good one or it's a bad one. There's a bunch of different ones. But I think
Yeah.
it's first realizing everyone's got a different pattern for what they're doing anyway. If it's a salesperson in the room or salespeople, it's like, what are you doing to go commission check to commission check? What's your pattern? What's your calling, your following up? You have a pattern. The product cycle people, the product development people have a pattern. What is it? Input from surveys. What are the marketers doing? They're building and designing stuff until they get yelled at. What is each person's doing a cycle and getting those people in a room? And oftentimes with a startup, it's one and a half people and a couple interns or a small team. First of all, getting that commonality, that understanding that, look, the language around this matters. You all have a pattern for what you're doing. Let's bring all those things together. What we found is that it comes down. We've started with a few key things that we really try to focus on as a team. So key tenets, and find the patterns for each team. But I think it's first just that recognition that there is a pattern,
Sure.
and that as a team, you really need if people are going to be doing different things, there needs to be an appreciation for all the different things happening in each of those. So the marketing comes internally first, and I think that's what a lot of marketers call branding. Branding is kind of that core of the core. So we want to get closer to that core of the core. We want to bring sales into really understanding what that is and giving them some skin in the game. But first, it's just recognizing that that's the reality, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think, talking about startups, obviously you're part of a very cool one, which I want to talk about because I've had the chance to meet Justin and talk to you about what you guys are doing with TendedBar. So before we jump into that, give people what TendedBar is so that they can understand it. And then I want to talk about, obviously there's a ton of obstacles that you have to overcome, especially now in the environment, but I want to talk about how you're doing that. What you do for other companies, you're doing it within one of your own. So first, tell everybody what TendedBar is.
TendedBar is the easy pass or sun pass of cocktails and wine and beer at events. It's also a place that can get an efficient, safe, touch-free, digital, and tracked bar service in just about any type of application, including mobile. We are calling it part of the hospitality comeback. But picture a 4-screen mobile bar. You can walk up, scans your face, and out comes your favorite cocktail. That's not a premix, but it's made right there using the same type of equipment that's in a bottling factory, super high end. It's made by our manufacturing partner, Lancer Worldwide, best in the world. They make all those machines you see in the Chipotles, the Wegmans, some of those, all the different flavors. We have the best equipment, and I think from our standpoint, the best solution for the hospitality event comeback for people that like to drink at events. So it's very exciting. It's a big change. It's one of the biggest jumps forward in technology, and it's the only mobile touch-free bar of its kind in the world.
Which is amazing because obviously you guys had started this. And to me, when I had learned about it, it made perfect sense because where there are so many places that I don't need to know the bartender or need to have an interaction with the bartender where it would save me time to get a drink if I didn't have that. Like if I'm at a concert or a sporting event, I don't care about the relationship with the bartender. I just want the drink as fast as I can get it so I can get back to doing what I was doing. Same thing as in a restaurant. Like if I'm sitting at the table, why do I have to wait for the bartender to finish with the bar to then make my drink to get it at my table when, there could be another machine that's ordering it for me and bringing it to me. So those were issues that you were going to solve, which then were like gone because there are no events. There are no, there's nobody sitting at a bar. So there's no wait anymore. So like all of a sudden the problems that you guys were solving aren't really there at the moment. But you actually are solving a problem that is the most important problem, which is the touchless thing now. Like you're not spreading germs. There's no bartender touching the bottle that's then pouring your drink and all of these things. So how did you guys handle, a massive shift in your industry and in your business to say, okay, those problems we're not really solving right now. Here's a problem we can solve. That is a new problem. How do we change our messaging? Do we change our messaging? What was some of that conversation like in overcoming a major obstacle in a startup?
Well, it was a very subtle shift, actually. As we look back, everything was happening fast, but really it's a subtle shift. And it's just the fact that we've been focusing the whole time on our big idea. Our big idea wasn't just line speed. It wasn't just safety. It was bringing an epic guest experience to getting your drinks at events and in places, again, where there's not a bar stool, which you nailed it. We're not trying to replace that different and really great, something we love. We love great bar experience with a human making something for someone that's unique and crafted and awesome, but also sitting 20 minutes in a queue when the thing you paid $150 for is going on 80 feet away, and you have to decide between the bathroom, food, and a drink. It's ridiculous. And we said we need to get rid of that. So we've been focusing on the big idea. And also because we focused on the big idea, we're a partner first mentality. What is the life cycle? Again, what is the life cycle of the food service point person at an
Yep.
arena look like? What does this do for them? What does it do for the person waiting in line that's not now? What are their choices? What are the things that they're experiencing? It's all the same things. It was already always cleaner, safer, faster. So the shift was just more in prioritizing what was important to people close to us. So for the concessionaires, it was, what's really important is the accessibility to you to be able to open faster. So reducing touch points and giving them the opportunity to say, hey, this is now, we feel confident we can monetize something at events and not fear that this is going to be part of a problem, meaning, the transference of additional touch points, having drinks sit out, having other people touch your drink. You think of those things now and you're like, you couldn't fathom having a drink sitting out with people, with 50, 100 people walking past it. You couldn't fathom that now.
Right.
We thought it was ridiculous before. All it is now is we had a break point in that cycle, right?
Sure.
And what that did is it brought the attention to that cycle needs a lot of improvements. And all we're doing is saying our big idea does speak to each of those things. It speaks to line speed. It speaks to safety and sanitation. It speaks to revenue for the venues, and it speaks to marketing. We've got a great opportunity for brands to connect with people drinking their product or experiencing something that's close to their product, be that music preference or location. So we still bring those same things. Nothing shifted other than a priority of what the people we're serving really has reprioritized due to COVID.
And I think it's amazing because I think what the product does is it solves a lot of different problems. And in a world where I try to tell people all the time, keep it simple. Right. I don't want to walk into a meeting with somebody to learn about something and feel like I'm having neurosurgery explained to me. Right. So how, as the CMO for TendedBar, you are the head of marketing for them. You are the head of messaging. You are the head of relationship. How do you keep it simple for people to understand that this isn't just a thing that they might want, that this is a thing that they need, because not only is it solving a problem that they didn't even know existed before, it's solving problems that they've had and in the future?
I think it goes back to the fact that our big idea was something that we all agreed on was really worth solving, and we're all sold out for that. And so we're easily able, the sub points of that, the line speed, the safety, the things that we need to then keep simple. The reason they're all so simple is because they're so closely connected with that big idea. And we can summarize that for any of the personas, the food and beverage manager, that anybody that's ever bought a ticket and gone to a football game, a basketball game, a concert, a live show, anybody that's waited in a line 4 deep at a busy club trying to get the bartenders. I get looked over all the time when I try to order drinks. They're like, F this guy. I'm 4 back at a show at the Mirage or at a concert, and we've all experienced that very poor experience of getting a good drink quickly, safely, and in a way that's not, you look at it from the food and beverage side, that's not losing the money, and that's not, hurting their brand. So we're so connected to that big idea that keeping it simple has been, to us, getting easier. I'd say for me is the one with focusing on messaging, also having great partners. I mean, Justin is awesome with messaging. He knows operation of how this works. He knows the different industries we're in, from the hospitality to the design side. Jay and Jimmy with the engineering side. It's easy keeping it simple when the product is engineered to such a high standard. It's easy being the marketer of something that I know when we go toe to toe with the other similar, which there aren't, similar commercial level or high end. There's just not a comparison, functionality and engineering. And then once we were able to bring on, because of alignment with the big idea with Lancer Worldwide, they want to be the best. And so knowing that we have the best capabilities and truly global reach, that part made it easy. But it was easy because the big idea was important to everybody there, which was to see this huge gap. And nothing has changed in the last 6 months.
The big idea
has changed. That's all
the big idea, because I'm gonna turn that into a different term, but I used to say this all the time, and I still do to people, is keep the main thing the main thing. So you guys didn't just jump off into, oh man, we have to put out all these mini fires about what's happening and deal with everything that's just right around us. You kept your focus on the big idea, that will then define our behaviors and our actions from there. That's going to define what we say and how we say it, because our focus is on the big idea. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Keep the main thing the main thing. What's the main purpose? What are you trying to do? I talk about it all the time with people, is if this is what you're trying to do, and then you look at all of your behaviors or the things you say and the things you do, and they don't match that thing, then you're completely out of whack.
Right.
How can you ever expect to get there or have that if everything's not aligned in that way? So you talking about the life cycle, you talking about the purpose and the cycles of things and how they work, and making sure that all of those are in line to fit with the big idea, I think is unbelievable. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I think this has been a great conversation.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. So I would say, I think TendedBar is going to be awesome. I hope that somebody is listening and hears this about TendedBar. Obviously, the marketing side of what you do and how you do it. But for anything else that you haven't hit on yet that you want to leave the people with that are listening, or that want to reach out to you and have a conversation with you, go ahead and leave your final message with them.
Well, my final message is that what you see is what you get. We, on all our teams, people that we're working with in our sphere, and Mark, a lot of them, there's a lot of overlap there, but we want to work with real people that want to make big things happen. We are solving big problems in the industries that we're in. So, we have a lot of passion behind what we do. We obviously are looking for creative ways to partner. For TendedBar right now, there's a couple very specific opportunities we have for small business owners and bar owners. So there's a great hospitality option that we can speak with you about. If you know anyone or you're in that space, just hit me up directly, or Justin, if you are connected with any of us on LinkedIn. There's some big changes there. I would say just, I guess encouraging thing to leave with is just that, it's all about perspective in a lot of ways, taking certain things out of like safety and all that out of consideration with our time we're in right now. Really, it's everyone's perspective on what they're going to make of this. And our team just decided we were going to double down on our message, on the things we were going to solve, and we weren't going to let anything stand in the way. Assuming our families were safe and our friends and our teams were safe, nothing else was more important than using this time to get ahead and take our partners ahead with us. So it's been a blast. It's been one of the best years of my life.
That's awesome. So I encourage everybody to reach out to Nathan. He does an unbelievable job of understanding people's businesses, getting in to understand their business, helping them make changes in their messaging, and helping them make sure that everything is aligned to work together. And then obviously, if you're interested in TendedBar, you should definitely reach out. So Nathan, thank you for joining me in the conversation. The focus on the big idea, the conversation, just because words matter, messaging matters. Right. Thank you so much for being here with me, and excited to help you any way that I can.
Thanks, Mark.